This week has been a heavy one. Our heads are reeling with the frantic pace of our constantly evolving news cycle here at home, and our hearts are fractured with the news out of Israel. And if you're anything like me, you've been refreshing and refreshing and refreshing because you are certain that whatever you just read is not going to be true the next time you open the news. It's a moment when it feels like there are no words, and yet we feel the urgency to say something, to speak out and to speak up and to make sure that our anguish is heard. Unfortunately, we know we do not have the luxury of focusing on just one devastating crisis at a time. Jews around the world are coming together tonight to grieve and cry and mourn. And at the same time, Jews are gathering around the country this evening to lift up another issue as well. Repro Shabbat, observed throughout America at scores, if not hundreds, of synagogues, varying denominations. Organized by the National Council of Jewish Women, there are over 2,500 participants tonight, from synagogues to community organizations to individual Shabbat tables, all observing Repro Shabbat tonight to affirm and honor the Jewish value of reproductive freedom. Repro Shabbat falls on this Shabbat specifically because it is this week's Torah portion, Mishpatim, that offers us the foundation for this Jewish value. Jewish law, which stems from this portion and is discussed further in Talmud, is unequivocal. Life begins not at conception, but at first breath. Because of this legal understanding, there are cases in Jewish law in which termination of a pregnancy is not only allowed, but mandated. I want to be clear. This congregation and this community is a place where anyone who has or will ever need to end a pregnancy for any reason will feel loved and welcomed. In the Talmud, Rabbi Yochanan teaches in an entirely different section that one may only pray in a sanctuary that has windows. Now, of course, there's lots of discussion about this rule, but here's the takeaway. We are only permitted to pray in a sanctuary that has windows, and we are doing an excellent job, because we are not permitted to shut ourselves off from the world. The world matters to us, and we matter to it. We cannot shield our eyes from what's going on in the world around us, and we always see the world around us through a Jewish lens. But even now, when in our wild and chaotic news cycle, the issue of reproductive rights is not perhaps rising to the very top, we are obligated to uplift and recommit to our values, because we are simultaneously not in an immediate crisis, and we are more vulnerable and in crisis than we have been in a very, very long time. We need to proactively, not just reactively, affirm our beliefs. None of us can turn a blind eye to the plight or suffering of others. It's our Jewish responsibility to care about others. And this issue in particular is more than that, because each and every one of us in this room and watching on Facebook is personally affected by our country's stance on reproductive rights, even if we may not realize it. For some of us, our bodily autonomy is on the line, and we wonder how long we'll have access to abortion care or critically necessary procedures in case of miscarriage or even birth control. We have already seen the horrific and deadly outcome of reproductive health care limitations that have been growing steadily in this country since the 2022 Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. But these issues affect us all. If your body is not at risk, you love people whose bodies are at risk. It affects all of our ability to build families in the way that we choose safely. And 1 in 4 people who can get pregnant will terminate a pregnancy by the age of 45. That means the majority of us here have people in our lives, people whom we hold dear, who are affected directly by laws and policies that threaten reproductive rights. We know that we can't take for granted rights that may feel safe or protected for us right now in our state, particularly without the protection of Roe v. Wade. The right to reproductive freedom is precarious at best. And as we Jews know better than most, true freedom requires vigilance. We must stand up for and support those values and beliefs we hold dear, because the slow and deliberate erosion of reproductive rights in our country represents a slippery slope for us all. Beyond being an issue of health and safety and bodily autonomy, this is an issue of religious freedom. Our Jewish values are being directly threatened by legislation that has been proposed at federal levels. There are cases where abortion is mandated by Jewish law, and without the Supreme Court's protection and with many groups trying to attack these reproductive rights, thousands of Jews have already lost or are in danger of losing crucially needed and religiously mandated abortion care. This is a direct assault on our religious freedom and our First Amendment rights, and we know there is much work to be done in order to ensure that our religious rights and bodily autonomy are respected and protected. This is a Shabbat of many emotions. We are uplifted by our choir, Kol Ami. We look forward to sharing a meaningful and joyous international potluck dinner together. We are shattered by deaths in our own families and in our broader Jewish family as we mourn for Ariel and Kfir Bibas, as well as Oded Lifshitz. And we demand that Shiri Bibas, as well as the rest of the hostages, come home now. And we continue to fight with determination for the rights and values that we hold dear and will always support here at Kol Ami. Rabbi Fenster, Cantor Mendelson, and I, as well as our entire staff team, are always here for you with open arms and open hearts. And these times are deeply trying. I'm proud to be part of this community, in which our response to it, whatever it is always the same. Let's be together. Let's support one another. And hand in hand, whatever work needs to be done, we will do it together. Shabbat Shalom.